will see very important point, functions of blood. Now see, blood appears to be very much simple, but it is nothing like that. You have seen the blood is made up of two components, plasma and blood corpuscles. Plasma, it is watery fluid and it contains many nutrients and its maximum amount is water. It contains around 92% of water and it contains some nutrients also like protein molecules, minerals, enzymes, fat molecules for the different functions in the body. And functions of WBC, RBC and platelets in the previous video. Now in this, first we'll see functions of blood. Now blood has many functions and without blood it's impossible to survive any organism. You know this thing. But how it is done, how it is achieved, how blood supports life and perform different functions. Now first point is transport of oxygen and carbon dioxide. We take air, हम सांस लेते हैं, तो जो अपने बॉडी में लंग्स में ऑक्सीजन आती है, वो जो ऑक्सीजन है ब्लड में डिफ्यूज होती है. With the oxygen we respire through nostrils goes into the lungs. Then in lungs the concentration of CO2 is more, concentration of oxygen is less initially, but when we take, then the blood present in the blood vessels in the alveoli of the lungs, there is the diffusion. So the diffusion takes place, and so the oxygen enters in the blood, and from the blood carbon dioxide comes out. So it comes out, carbon dioxide comes out and oxygen goes in, and thus the transport of oxygen and carbon dioxide takes place. There is the mitochondria in cells. In cells there is the oxidation of food, and during oxidation there is the formation of carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide formed in the cells or in the tissues, it is transported to the lungs for the removal. So this carbon dioxide is formed at the cellular level and the cells produce carbon dioxide. Then the blood carries carbon dioxide, it is released in the lungs and then we expel out. जब सांस को बाहर निकालते हैं तो CO2 बाहर चली आती है. So this is one point, transport of oxygen and carbon dioxide. Similarly, the blood which contains oxygen, it is called as oxygenated blood. So oxygenated blood has more oxygen and then it is transferred throughout the body for the oxidation of food and performing different functions. Now coming to the second part, the transportation of nutrients. Now nutrients, we have many food materials, we eat fruits, vegetables, many more, pulses, so how they are transported? So blood is the only medium, because anything we take through our mouth or through injection or through drip, even it takes place in all the conditions, whether the person is healthy or person is unhealthy. So if person is healthy, then naturally the person is taking with help of mouth, and so it goes inside the stomach. There is the absorption, there is the digestion, absorption goes in the blood. So then the proteins, fats, vitamins, minerals, etc. All the things, medicines, they all are transported by the blood only to each and every part at the microscopic level or at the cellular level. Microscopic means cellular level, at the level of cell. Now, third is the removal of waste. In our body, there is the generation of very large amount of waste, and so waste is removed. What is waste? Waste is unwanted substances like urea. Urea is produced from the proteins. Urea is produced from the proteins. When proteins are digested, there is formation of urea. And so urea in the blood is present, and so urea is filtered out by urine. We urinate, and so urine has the urea. So there is the release of urea, and so many more. So similarly, minerals also. So any waste, we have kidney. So kidney separate the waste from where? From the blood. Blood contains the waste material. So kidneys they separate, and through urine different things come out. Now, next is control and coordination in the body. Blood is a very good messenger. Blood is just like postman. It carries the message from one part to the other part of the body for the control and coordination. Coordination means samanjasya. There is the relationship, helping each other. So blood helps in establishing each other, and so this is coordination. So for the function of different parts, there is the coordination required in the body. And so suppose brain is there. So brain coordinates all the activities of the person or any organism. Next is in fighting against disease and infection. So blood contains, antibodies. What are antibodies? Antibodies are the specialized molecules which are produced in response to any infection, and so this is resulting into the immunity booster. So immunity is there, and so immunity is for different diseases. When we are child, then we are given vaccines, and so what happens by the vaccines? There is the increase in immunity. Then by infection, our body we have the WBC. WBC kills the pathogens or the disease-causing organisms. Pathogens by phagocytosis. Phagocytosis, WBC they have irregular shape just like amoeba. So WBC they have just like amoeba, and so suppose here if there is any pathogen, or disease causing, so there is the formation of pseudopodia. Pseudopodia just like amoeba, and so they ultimately it is taken inside, and so this WBC thus fights against the infection. The last, in regulation of body temperature, you all must know our blood is, it is able to maintain the body temperature. In the winter, it maintains. Our blood has the constant temperature. And our body temperature, around 30 degree, it is maintained by the body. When we are sick, our body becomes cold. When we are suffering from malaria, our body becomes cold. So what do? We use blankets, we use quilts to maintain the body. Similarly, when we are having high fever, then temperature of the body becomes very high. Then we use medicine. So these are the functions of the blood. So without blood, it's impossible to survive. I have drawn here structure of heart. So human heart is just like this fist. ये मेरे जो बंद मुट्ठी है, इतनी बड़ी इसकी human heart होता है. I am talking to the adult person. Just like this fist or muthi, band muthi. It is just like conical. It has slightly conical structure. You see, just like this. This is highly enlarged to explain you. At the lower side, it is slightly pointed. Now, some basic points about the heart. That heart has 4 chambers. How much? 4 chambers. There are 4 chambers chambers. Heart has 4 chambers. It has 2 auricles. 2 auricles or atrium. Auricles or atrium. One leads point of singular and plural. So atrium is singular, auricles plural. So there are 2 auricles or 2 atrium and 2 ventricles. Ventrium. So now this is 2 auricles and 2 ventricles. This you have to keep in mind. Now see, auricles are on the upper side. Auricles are on the upper side. Ventricles are on the lower side. Now auricles have different function. Ventricles have different function. See how? You know, in our body there is the presence of oxygenated blood or oxygen-rich blood in the arteries, and it is produced by the removal of carbon dioxide by the lungs through the diffusion by the exchange of gases, and the veins collects deoxygenated blood from the different parts of body. So now see how heart works. So first of all, see the veins from body. Start from here. Veins from the body. It comes here by this blue mark, blue arrow mark. So blue mark indicates the impure blood comes in, and then it is pumped to the lungs. So it goes to the lungs, and here so there is the artery. You know, the blood supplying vessel is called as artery. So lungs gets the impure blood or deoxygenated blood by what? So initially veins from the body, they collect the blood to the right auricle or right atrium, and atrium has thin walls because atrium has to just collect the blood. Keep in mind, both the atrium has thin walls because they have just to collect the blood. Ventricles have thick walls. Both the ventricles have thick walls, and particularly this left ventricle is more thick. Left ventricle is more thick. Its wall is more thick. Ventricle's wall, left ventricle's wall is more thick in comparison to this. Why? Because it has to send blood throughout the body. So veins from the body, it has collected the blood. Then through this, it goes here in the lungs for the removal of carbon dioxide. This is half done. Now in the lungs, there is the removal of carbon dioxide, and oxygen is dissolved in the blood by the what? By diffusion. Now see here, the veins from the lungs. So this red color, pink color. So veins जो vessels supply करती हैं उनको बोलते हैं veins. So here lungs from the veins, they carry the purified blood or oxygenated blood, and it comes to which? Left auricle. So left auricle, it is which side? It is this side. And then the blood comes here, and blood comes through these valves. Valves are very much important. Valves are present in all the chambers, and valves prevent the back flow of the blood. So here this contains the pure blood or oxygenated blood, and then the blood is pumped. This is thick. The wall of left ventricle is thick. Then it pushes the blood. Now see, the blood goes here. Goes here, and then arteries, arteries then supplies blood throughout the body. So this is the point. Now coming to next point, that why or how the heart is able to separate or prevent the mixing of blood, because our heart is made up of four chambers, and so four chamber, the purpose of four chamber is to prevent the mixing of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. Now see, once again I am repeating. Now impure blood or deoxygenated blood is collected by the veins from the body. It comes to right auricle. Now then right, these are the what? These are the valves. These are the valves. These are valves. Valves are present here. Valves prevent, suppose there is the contraction. Actually, heart contracts to send the blood and expands to receive the blood. When contracts, so when contracts, then automatically blood is sent through this to lungs. Then again here there is a valve. Here there is also the valve. So this valve prevents, valves have different names, you will see in high classes. So valves prevent the blood from this backward flow. Then arteries supply the impure blood to the lungs for the oxygenation. Then veins from the lungs, they collect blood here, where left auricle, then left auricle, here again there are the valves. I have mentioned the valves. Valves prevent the backward flow of blood. Then it comes to, from here it comes to left ventricle. The left ventricle again pushes to this artery. Here there is also the valve. Valves are here also. Valve is here also. So valve is here also. Valves prevent the backward flow of blood, and so there is the human heart. So this is about the working of heart. Now human heart, beats approximately 70 times per minute. In a healthy human being, heart beats, and heart has rhythmic contraction. Rhythmic means at regular contraction and relaxation or expansion, and it produces a particular sound, luk sound, or we have the dhak dhak sound. So this is the mechanism how heart receives the blood, how heart supplies the blood. Ventricles walls are thick because they have to supply, particularly left ventricle is very thick with respect to right ventricle. Left ventricle is thick because it has to supply blood throughout the body. Now, the heart is four chambered in humans only, or these animals are mammals. Next part, pulse rate. We just have said that our heart, has some contraction and relaxation in a particular manner, and our heart in a minute, produces 72 beats. 72 बार ये क्या होता है, ये धड़कता है, और इसके चलते बॉडी से इम्प्योर ब्लड कलेक्ट होता है, and purified after purification by the lungs, it is then sent to different parts of the body. So heart has to work continuously, and it is possible by the regular pulse. Like we doctors see the pulse. Here we feel the pulse, because here our skin is very thin. So pulse rate, it is, doctor says, it should be around 72 pulse per minute, approximately 72. It increases or decreases. The persons having low BP, they have low pulse rate. The persons having high BP, they have high pulse rate. But this is for an adult. And so how pulse is generated. Actually, due to contraction. It is due to the contraction of ventricles. Ventricles, they contract and there is the pulse rate is generated. Now, pulse is very much important. In an adult or any person, the pulse has to be regular. Irregular pulse indicates the person has some problem. Then you must know a stethoscope. A stethoscope, it is an instrument doctors use. A stethoscope, it is having, this type of structure, and all the doctors, they have the stethoscope, and here there is joint, and here there is diaphragm. So they are the earpieces, and here these are the tubes, and this is the diaphragm. These are earpieces, and earpieces, doctors or nurse, they listen the regularity of heartbeat. This diaphragm receives, and sound waves travel. Sound waves can travel in a medium, and so this is the working and the functions of heart.